Hey everyone. It's Louie95 here. And I'm going to tell you guys a story. And it's about where Tommy and Chucky went to Hyrule to save the kingdom. It will be based on my fan-made Rugrats video game called The Babies of Time. In this story, it takes place between The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time and Rugrats Royal Ransom. It will be about where Tommy and Chucky end up in no ordinary place and have met the Princess Zelda and Link, the hero of time. But anyways, enjoy the story. Note: this will be an audio spoken story. The story of Rugrats, Babies of Time focuses on Tommy and Chucky when they enter an unknown world after going through the woods. After discovering them in Tommy's back garden, they find themselves in the kingdom of Hyrule. It was no ordinary land. It is where Princess Zelda lives. They make their way walking by Hyrule Field, through Hyrule Castle Town and spot Hyrule Castle. They most know about a rich baby that lives in a big house, and they go inside Hyrule Castle. They were greeted by no other than the princess herself. She then tells them a time where Hyrule was ruled by an evil king of the desert. His name was Ganondorf, who had been imprisoned in the evil realm. Zelda then introduces the babies to the hero of time, who is Link. Tommy and Chucky were very amazed to meet the green-clothed hero along with his fairy Navi. Zelda would then tell the babies that Ganondorf might be escaping from his prison and would be out to rule the kingdom again. She would then lead the boys to the Temple of Time, saying when the doors open again, they would travel to the future. But before they would do that, she would tell them that they would need to travel all over Hyrule to help the races in their provinces. Zelda then gives the babies the Ocarina of Time, so they would hope to learn the songs all over the kingdom, including Zelda's song. Tommy and Chucky would travel to the Temple of Light to obtain the Goron tunic before going into the Chamber of Six Sages, where they were greeted by Impa, the sage of the Shadow Temple. She would tell the babies that an evil spirit is going to release Ganondorf from prison so he could have his hands on the Triforce and rule the kingdom. After obtaining the Goron tunic, the babies were then greeted by Sheik, a young man who is the same race as Impa. He said that he has been waiting for them to save the kingdom of Hyrule. He would then teach them a melody called the Prelude of Light. The babies would then go to Baba's cavern to defeat Diababa with a boomerang that they obtained at the dungeon. After Diababa was defeated, the province returned to normal. Saria, who was one of the citizens of Kokiri Forest, said that the village was cursed by Ganondorf. The babies have learned the truth about it. They noticed that Ganondorf had broken out of his prison to return to his reign of terror in the kingdom. The evil king put a spell on the village to punish the Kokiri for sealing him in the evil realm. The babies traveled to Ordon Woods, where they see Spike and Fifi running towards them. Their dogs were trying to find their owners because they were missing for a few days. The babies told their dogs that they were chosen by Princess Zelda to save the kingdom of Hyrule. They then see Link with his horse Epona. He said that he was happy with the boys for saving Kokiri Forest from one of Ganondorf's curses. Link would then tell the babies to go to Death Mountain to meet the Gorons. They would then find a surprise to see their friends there. Reptar, their favorite TV show character, was on top of the mountain and sounded very angry. This was stressing out the Gorons and their leader Darunia. Tommy and Chucky then travel to Goron mining facility to find out what was causing Reptar's anger. Susie then gives them the slingshot that Link used when he was a kid to defeat Goma, which was a fire monster that was causing Reptar's pain. After Goma was defeated, Reptar was happy and thanked the babies for defeating the monster which caused his anger. Darunia would then tell Tommy and Chucky that Ganondorf must have unleashed that monster in the dungeon and informs them that the evil king had been released from his prison to turn Hyrule back into a land of horror. On the way to their next quest, Tommy and Chucky find themselves at Lon Lon Ranch. This is where Link first found Epona. They then meet a farmer named Talon and his daughter Malone. Talon then challenges them to a race against him. After winning the race, Tommy and Chucky obtain some milk for their adventures. They would then travel to the Woodfall region, where it's infested by the Deku race, including the Deku King, Deku Princess and the Deku Butler. The region also fell victim of a curse of Ganondorf when he put a block on the Deku from eating bugs and put creatures in Deku mines. So the babies traveled to the mines to defeat Reptar, but it was a phantom version of the dinosaur. After defeating Phantom Reptar, the Deku King thanked Tommy and Chucky for letting them eat bugs again since the mines were back to normal. Even the Deku princess threatened to kiss Tommy and Chucky but are too scared of her, thinking that she was going to eat them. Along the way, they were told by Susie to go to Snow Peak where the Yetis lived, but they were so shocked to find out that Snow Peak was also put into a curse by the evil Ganondorf. Many Yetis have been frozen. They then reached Yeti village to meet Geodo. He then tells Tommy and Chucky that the evil king has broken out of his prison to punish the Yetis by freezing them to death and has even put freezers and other creatures in the ice cavern. They would then travel to the Palace of Ice to obtain the ice arrows, and then obtain the Yeti tunic, which will allow them to wear it at extremely cold areas in case they freeze to death. They would then travel to the ice cavern to defeat a giant freezer named Frezona, which was causing the Yetis to all freeze to death in Snow Peak with a fire boomerang that they obtained. After defeating Frezona, Yeta Witch, who they met in the dungeon, would thank the babies for saving her people. After that, Susie would tell Tommy and Chucky to go to Zora's domain, in which where the Zoras reside. Princess Ruto, who was one of the Zoras, said to Tommy and Chucky that Ganondorf had put a curse on them. They were obtained the Zora tunic to travel to the water temple to defeat Morphu, who is an aquatic serpent. They would obtain the long shot, which is an upgraded version of the hook shot. Ganondorf has put a curse on the lake Hylia, which it was almost empty. Morphu must have sucked up all the water from the lake. But after the serpent was defeated, the lake returned back to normal. King Zora thanked Tommy and Chucky for saving their village in Lake Hylia. Tommy and Chucky would then see Princess Zelda along with her protector Impa running away from the evil king himself, Ganondorf. The babies were so shocked and scared to see him. He then taunts at Tommy and Chucky about his plans to rule the kingdom again, and he will hope to take the Triforce for himself again. The babies would then travel to the Temple of Time as they spot a mysterious blade. It was no other than the Master Sword. Tommy would then pull the blade out of the pedestal, and then Ganondorf thanks them for leading him to the sacred realm. He would now touch the Triforce and once again transform Hyrule into a land of terror. After obtaining the Master Sword, Tommy and Chucky would then travel to the sewers of Hyrule to obtain the Mirror Shield. Hyrule Castle Town still remained as normal, as did Hyrule Castle. The babies would then travel to Kakariko Village, in which it had a windmill hut and cuckoos walking around, but the village seemed to be put on a curse by Ganondorf. The whole village was deserted and infested by redeads and other undead creatures. They would then meet Sheik again, and he would tell them that Ganondorf has caused more mayhem on the village, and it was up to the Rugrats to put it back to normal. They traveled to Shadow Temple to defeat an evil fossil named Staloa with a light boomerang they obtained. After defeating the monster, the village was returned back to normal with potion shops and houses opened. People walking and standing around, and even cuckoos walking around too. Next, the babies would travel back to Hyrule Castle, but found out that heavy wind was blowing around the town. Many of the citizens stayed inside to avoid the violent wind. And the babies would then need to travel to the Wind Temple, which was located above the castle by a cannon. After obtaining the iron arrows, they would then defeat the giant wind demon, Galgara. After the monster was defeated, Hyrule Castle Town returned back to normal. Ganondorf must have put a curse on the castle town by reviving the demon. Then Tommy and Chucky would then travel back to Faron Woods, but they found out it was infested by Bokoblins, Decobabus and Keese. The babies would then travel to Forest Temple to defeat King Bulbin and then the Thousand-Year Plant, Dekovia. Faron Woods returned to its original state after the monster was defeated, and the Korok were all happy to have their residence again. Along the way, Link also thanked Tommy and Chucky for saving the woods and were greeted by Mayor Bo. The babies would now have to travel to the Hyrule Ocean coast where there were ghosts wandering around. Tommy and Chucky would then meet the Flying Dutchman, who was the ghost that was causing all this. They would then defeat the Flying Dutchman, and he would beg them for their lives not to kill him. After that, the babies would see the Flying Dutchman's ghost ship had turned into a normal pirate ship. The Flying Dutchman would now run his own shop, so Tommy and Chucky would see him again and would reward them with an item. The babies then traveled to Pirate's Fortress to find SpongeBob's spatula so he can make Krabby Patties again. Ganondorf must have stolen it and kept it at the fortress. It also stressed out Mr. Krabs and Squidward too, as the citizens all waited for their Krabby Patties. After defeating the thief, Tommy and Chucky returned to the Krusty Krab to return SpongeBob his spatula so he could make Krabby Patties again. The babies didn't know that the Krusty Krab had relocated from Bikini Bottom to Hyrule even just to serve Krabby Patties to Tommy and Chucky after their dungeon quests. They would have called it the Hylian Crab rather than the Krusty Krab. They would travel to the Ocean Temple to defeat a bioelectric sea worm named Bartol who was causing the waters to be murky and unsafe with sea creatures put in. They would obtain the Keyblade they found in the dungeon to defeat the monster. Tommy and Chucky would then go on their next quest to Lanera Province where it was put into a burning wasteland by the evil king. They would go to the Earth Temple to defeat Sakdaga, a subterranean monster which was revived by Ganondorf. Lanera Province returned back to its usual self being a desert after Sakdaga's defeat. Susie would then tell Tommy and Chucky about Woodfall, and there was a strange purple cloud over it causing the sky to become purple from its usual blue with white clouds. The babies would then travel back to the region where they found Deku Village deserted with just only one Deku there named Tommy, who was indeed named after the baby who defeated the monster of Deku Mines once before. The Deku would then tell Tommy and Chucky that the Deku princess wanted to save her people and herself from the Deku reptile Woltier who was revived by Ganondorf to be fed. The great Deku King already had lost his life to the evil king for returning the village back to its old self. Now Ganondorf has believed to cause trouble on Woodfall again and the Deku princess would then tell Tommy and Chucky if the reptile escaped, Hyrule would then become a poisoned wasteland. The Deku would then give Tommy and Chucky a purple tunic which would allow them to avoid poison areas of the Swamp Temple. Tommy and Chucky went there to rescue all the Deku and then defeat Woltier with a whip they obtained in the dungeon. After that, the sky returned back to its old self and all the Deku have been saved and the Deku princess thanked the babies once again for saving the region. Once the babies have returned to Hyrule Castle Town, they've discovered that it was infested by bloodthirsty vampires. Ganondorf has once again put a curse on the town, so Tommy and Chucky traveled to the Light Temple in Sacred Realm to defeat Draugr who was an Hylian vampire for making this curse. They defeat the vampire with light bombs and after that, Hyrule Castle Town returned to its former self. The King of Hyrule thanked Tommy and Chucky for saving the town. Then they were greeted by Rauru, the Sage of Light, for saving the Light Temple from a lot of creatures Ganondorf put in as well as the vampire. When the two Rugrats traveled back to Lake Hylia, they then see an Awaken named Oaku bidding for their help. The bird-like creature would see an prehistoric insect is making chaos at the Sky Temple where the creature was terrorizing the race. It was revived by the evil king to be fed to. After obtaining the sledgehammer, the babies would defeat Moldawak, and were thanked by the Awaka. The babies would then travel to the hidden village to defeat the Bulblins and then travel back to the Temple of Time where they were greeted by Link for doing perfect on lifting the evil king's curses. But then Ganondorf, the great king of evil, would then capture Zelda and put the pieces of the Triforce together. It was now up to Tommy and Chucky to help Link save Zelda and put an end to the evil king. They would then travel to Hyrule Castle, where Ganondorf is now at. They would go into the castle to defeat his minions before reaching his throne. Ganondorf has now got the princess sealed. He would then transform into his spirit form and tries to kill Tommy and Chucky until he is defeated. Then he would now try and take care of the babies himself before he then puts another death curse on Tommy and Chucky as they run out of the castle with the princess after saving her. Hyrule Castle was still at its normal best, but Ganondorf was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, Tommy and Chucky were confronted by the evil king and then transforms into his beast self, Ganon. It was up to Tommy and Chucky to put an end to the evil king, and then after one final blow, the evil Ganon was finally defeated, and Hyrule was thankful to have Tommy and Chucky save their land from the curses of the evil king. Zelda thanked Tommy and Chucky for saving her from Ganondorf and Link also helped the babies do it. After that, the people of Hyrule partied around the land to celebrate the defeat of the evil king. Tommy and Chucky would then say their goodbyes to the kingdom and would return to their own world as heroes. They would wish to see Princess Zelda in Hyrule again. The end. Thank you guys for hearing this story. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Louie95 signing out.